Welcome to Third Age Talk. I'm MP Wilkinson.
I'm Julia Wilkinson Rice,
She's my daughter, my lovely daughter. I'm 69 and she is.
30.
And I'm in my third age. This podcast was named after a writing from a historian that divided life into four ages. First one's childhood, second one's responsibility in raising children, third one is third age, where I am, which is typically after retirement, and fourth is the decline to death. So I'm in the third age and wanted to do this podcast, and my daughter has graciously agreed to co-host with me.
I'm in the
Uh,
second age, I guess, in that
you
description.
are.
Yes,
You
yeah.
are in the second age. It's a long one and it's a interesting one. Lots of changes coming for
Fulfilling
you.
one, yes, I'm
Yeah.
hoping.
Just got married, so
Mhm.
that's probably the first stage
Yep.
after your career is, in full swing. So,
Yeah.
and every episode we'll try to come up with a theme. And Julie has some questions for the theme. I always have a parody song that relates to the theme, and then I have an excerpt from a book that I wrote about my mom's cancer journey. She's a writer, her mom was a writer, and I'm a writer, so it's our three voices talking about her life. So that's kind of us in a nutshell. Oh, and then we end every episode with me asking Julia a question.
Yeah.
So,
And this one is exciting because I am here to ask my mom a little bit about a trip that she just went on. We have a ginormous family in the best way possible. And she just went on a trip to the West Coast and got to see our longest living relatives of that generation. And tell us a little bit about your journey and your trip that you took.
yeah. So my aunt and uncle live in LA along with all their children and grandchildren. And my aunt is my mom's sister, and she is 97. Her name is Jerry, just like my sister Jerry.
Hmm.
And my uncle Ken is also 97. And so we went to visit them. We want to see them obviously as much as we can while we can. So it was a wonderful trip to see them.
And what prompted the trip in general? And yeah, how many of our family members did you get to see?
Yeah. So we were there exactly 1 year ago, and so it just seems, when you're at that age, we want to see him as much as possible. So we kind of said, let's make this a yearly thing while we can. So we did, and we got to spend some great quality time with just the two of them. But then, of course, one of the nights everybody came, and we're talking, I don't know, 30 some people between their kids and their kids' spouses and their kids' kids. And so it was really, really fun and really crazy.
It's crazy as well because I mean, it must have been 7 years ago. We were all there for their 90th, which was really cool, really cool as a whole family. It was a whole shindig, obviously, because they both were turning 90, which is a big deal. And the fact that they both were still around back then was a big deal. It's even more of a big deal now that they both still are around. What was that like being around them now? Last time I was there, the trip, it was like celebrating their lives and how long they've lived, and they're still around and still kicking it. So, like, what was that like for you?
Well, my Uncle Ken, as you well know, is hilarious.
Yeah,
And
still is.
yes, yeah, it's still hilarious. And the last probably 5 times I've seen him, he says this every time, "Oh, you're here to say goodbye." So we this time I gave it right back to him and said, "You've said that for 5 years in a row." But my sister Jerry was with me, and she said for the first time, our Aunt Jerry said something along those same lines, and she
Mm,
usually doesn't, talk like that. So it's very interesting because it's realistic,
right.
and yet, you don't want to think that that's the last time. I have to say I was really, really emotional saying goodbye this time. I
Mm,
mean, it probably was last time too. I don't know that I remember it as much, but because it hits you. This honestly could be the last time. Um, they are the oldest living, like you said, on my mom's side of the family, so they represent that generation. And it was just precious. My aunt has some dementia issues, and so her short-term memory is, a challenge.
yeah.
She will ask, the same question many times in a row, and you just answer it as if it's the first time. And sometimes she catches herself, oh yeah, I already asked you that, didn't I? And she kind of laughs. So
Yeah.
she's in great spirits.
I
And
could tell that too, on the call with her. She said the same thing a couple of times to me, but you could tell she was so positive and energetic. Amazing.
and just so appreciative to see we drive up there not knowing is she going to even know who I am,
Right.
and she does, of course. Who knows if she got prompting or whatever, it doesn't matter, but she's like, I'm so glad you're here, and she's so affectionate, and I said, of course we're going to be here. I used to go out to LA whenever I was having a crisis in my own life, whether it's with a guy or a job or money or depression, whatever it was, that was the place that I went probably at least once a year, if not sometimes twice, in my 20s, probably 20s, I would say. Um, And she would make you feel like you were the most special person in the
Totally.
universe. And
Yeah.
that's how she is. And
Yeah.
that's how she is. And so that's why I went there because it's like I need to be special. Like whatever I'm going through that prompted me to take the trip, I need to feel the uplifting spirit that she has. And so she would, where do you want to go? What do you want to eat? It was all about you. And that was really needed at several points in my life. And so I told that to her. I said, of course I'm here. This is one of my favorite places in the world. I said, you always made me feel like I was the center of the universe. And I love you for that. And I appreciate that. And she goes, you are, you are. I said, well, that all of us are. And she goes, yeah, yeah, but you're
Yeah.
up there on the list.
You and the hundreds of others.
Exactly. All the
Yeah.
other cousins and whoever came to visit her, they were the center of the universe and they felt really special. And so it was just really sweet to share that with her, and it meant a lot to her to hear that. And Uncle Ken was hilarious, and
Yeah.
a lot of stories about growing up and stories about my parents, and they love going down memory lane. And
Yeah.
so, and of course, a lot of talk about you, and we went through all your wedding pictures. It was a very special visit. And it
That's
just
nice.
makes you realize, how important it is to stay in contact with people who are older. And, it's great that they're 97, but who knows how long they'll be around. And that's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
And so they live in Woodland Hills, and they're still in their home that they've been in for decades.
Right. Yeah.
And they're lucky that they have each other, obviously. But my uncle has the physical limitations, and my aunt has the mental limitations.
Right.
So they have 24/7 caregivers who have become part of the family.
Mhm.
Just wonderful. But they are extremely, extremely lucky that they're able to be in their homes at 90, in their home at 97. Um, and it's
Unheard of.
ridiculously well, and it's ridiculously expensive, to
Yeah.
have these. Um, my sister Jerry and I were talking about it, after the fact, like how lucky they are to be in the house because that's where we had all these parties, and we had one while we were there.
Yeah.
We Jerry and I were in town, so everybody came, and it's in the family home, and all where all our memories are out there. And Jerry said, she remembers our mom and dad sitting down with them talking about getting older and retirement and things, and Uncle Ken saying, you know, I think we have 10 years after retirement that I can afford, that I can afford for us to stay in the house. I think we have 10 years. Well, it's been 30.
Yeah.
So whatever they did something right because they're able to stay in their home and they're able to have 24/7 caregivers. And
Amazing.
but it just tells you how that's an exception, like how lucky they are, whatever they were able to do
Yep.
to make that happen. That's the exception.
For
And
sure.
it's scary to think about, but it's also wonderful for them that they are able to do it. Well, and so there's four kids that Aunt Jerry and Uncle Ken have that live out there.
Yep.
And so they take turns bringing dinner over. And so we took one of the nights, so that we could be part of that tradition and have some time with them. And it was really, really special. They're just so incredible. And, you think about how little time we have with our elders.
Yeah.
And we're just lucky that we could spend some time with them.
Do you talk to your cousins at all about how different it is that you have lost both of yours, they have both of theirs still? Like, what were those conversations like, if anything?
Yeah, I mean, mostly via text. We
Yeah.
don't really sit down and talk about it, but in between when we see them, we text and things, and they loved mom and dad, my mom and dad, your grandma and papa, and they have great memories about them, and they feel very, very lucky that both of theirs are alive. Especially as the other aunts and uncles died
Right.
recently, the fact that they have their both parents intact is very, very special and unusual.
Yeah.
And so that's why they're over there all the time. The idea of living in the same city really, really matters because they can help and they
Yeah.
all help. They do all the grocery shopping and they, whatever, all the errands, all the take them to church um and the fact that they're all close, although, in LA, close is relative,
Yeah.
the traffic and all, but they're all in the same city and they all are helping and participating and really being part of their everyday lives,
Yeah.
which is priceless.
No, it's amazing. Do you feel jealous?
Sure. I wish I had my parents. No question about it. I'm jealous of that.
Yeah.
Um, but just being with them, you feel like my parents were there.
Yeah.
So much of the
Oh, that's
discussion
sweet.
was about them. They were all so close and, so sure, it would be nice.
You
But
felt the presence of Ned and Jean.
absolutely. No question about it.
That's really sweet. That's making me emotional. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were definitely there with you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's okay, honey.
That really got me for some reason.
It's
They're
okay.
definitely there. That's nice. With Adam and I probably settling down in the East Coast, how do you feel about the idea of maybe, you not being as close to your siblings, in that situation?
Well, I think most importantly is for me to be close to you
Yeah.
and grandkids.
Yeah.
So this kind of reinforced that if I'm getting towards my fourth age where I'm going to
Sure.
need help,
Yeah.
the fact that you and I would be in the same city is really, really important.
Yeah.
And so I think it's more that than my siblings.
Hmm.
Although, I want to be there for them.
Right.
But, we're all going to be old at the same time. So how much are we helping each other? It's
Right.
more it's more like, wait, we all need the next generation as opposed to all needing each other.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think the most important thing is for me to be in the same city with you. And just so everybody knows, that's okay with you.
Oh yeah, I'm wanting that. I am wanting that. I'm asking for it, in fact.
I don't want people to think, oh, great, her mom is saying she's going to be in the same city. Surprise!
No, that is a choice. That is a choice. 100%. That's always been the plan, really.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely want to be where my grandkids are and where you are. And it will, hopefully, I will have a great long third age where we can be in that together
Yeah.
and I can help with your kids or
Yeah.
whatever. And then logically, as my fourth age comes, I'm going to need you, the reverse will happen.
For sure. Yeah, that is, what I've always mentally thought of is like you'll move out here, help us with our kids, and then get to the point where ideally financially we'll be in the place where we'll be able to have a home where we can just take care of you in that home. Maybe you and his mom. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know, the need, or
Right,
we don't
right.
know the logistics or the need yet, but that would be ideal. I think for both of us, as I've said to you before, like a huge thing is that we both love our moms, as much as we do. And so we
Yeah.
want to take care of you guys as much as you guys have taken care of us, especially off the back of our wedding and how beautiful it was, like what you guys both did for us in that whole season. So we're getting ahead of ourselves, obviously. But, with these conversations, with this podcast, as we've said in the past with episodes, it brings up these conversations. And like, yeah, I've thought about it in passing, but this podcast really brings it up, in a really realistic way, which I actually think is good and really
Yeah.
healthy. I mean, as hard as it is. Um, but no, that's a
Well, a
good,
lot of my friends, their kids are not in the same city,
yeah,
this trip brought that home about how cool it is that they're all together as,
yeah,
often as possible. It's just too precious not to, if you can, make that happen.
yeah. But I think this is a good segue. Do you want to go into the question?
Sure.
When we are inevitably sitting here 20 years from now, I'm 50, you're 90. What do you want the vibe of our family to be? And then the second question is, what's the most important tradition or feeling you would want to pass down?
So you said inevitably we will be sitting here, so that means we're still doing a podcast, but it's going to be called Fourth Age Talk.
There you go.
And you're going to be like, remember your name.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it's crazy to think about. Okay, so I'm turning 90, so I would
Mhm.
be 89, literally
Right,
20 years from now.
right.
I mean, this trip really brought it home. What I want my vibe to be is what they have, which
Yeah.
is, they are extremely important in all their kids' lives. Um, the situation, as complicated as it is being worked out to make them as happy and comfortable and thriving as they can be at 97.
Hmm.
And so they're surrounded by love. They have this aura, this whole space of love and fun and joy and chaos and noise and people and food. Oh my God, the food, as you can imagine. You know,
Yeah.
that's not new to our family.
No.
And and it's fantastic. It's fantastic and it's crazy, with all the people. So I want the vibe to be loving and fun and warm and chaotic and kids and, you know, all the feels.
Love that.
Yeah. And what was the second part of the question?
Oh, what's the most important tradition or feeling you want to pass down?
My dad was big on unconditional love. And we had some talks about it because I think, oh, I had some problems with one of my sisters. And he said, you just have to have unconditional love for her. And, I don't know how realistic that is. Is there such a thing? you know, but I felt it so much on this trip that
Mm,
the love for these two older individuals and what they have done and given and who they have created and the families those people have created just was overwhelmingly positive and warm.
that's beautiful. Love
And
that.
the humor. The
Yeah.
humor is a thing with us, and Uncle Ken is a big guy for that, and so
Yeah,
all the jokes and the sarcasm and the puns and whatever, that's a big part of our tradition.
totally.
So it's this warm, fun where everybody's special, as many as they are.
That's gorgeous. And yeah, I think that's funny as well because yeah, I feel like our family has always been on the funnier side. You know, Ned always entertaining and Uncle Ken giving nicknames. Do you want to talk about the nickname at
Sure.
all?
He talked about yours, as a matter of
Did
fact. He
he?
said, "Do you remember how I gave Julia your nickname?"
Of
And
course.
we had to figure out which wedding it was. So
I
it
know it
was
was.
our
It was the
cousin Paul.
Yeah, it was in New York. I remember it was in New York. Yes, yeah, yeah.
Right. So it was our cousin Paul's wedding, and so we all traveled to New York, and I was pregnant. And we knew the gender because I was always one that wanted to know because I wanted to give you a name well before birth.
Mhm.
And so we had picked Julia after we found out it was a girl. And so Uncle Ken came up to me and kind of patted my stomach and said, how's the Julia child? And of course, we know that famous chef, Julia Child. And so your nickname ended up being Cookie after the cook, Julia Child.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love
And
that it was in New York as well. Gorgeous. Yes,
true,
amazing. Yeah.
true. That's ironic. You
Hmm.
ended up there, yes. Yes, he gives nicknames. And, I thought everybody just got a nickname, but we were talking about our cousin Charlie, and I said, "Hey, did you ever give Charlie a nickname?" And he said, "I don't think so." And I said, "Why not?" And he said, "Well, not everybody gets one. You have to earn it."
Hmm.
And so I thought that was very interesting. He doesn't just come have a jar of nicknames and picks one out. It
Sure.
has to be apropos to that person or that
Yeah.
circumstance, which is why it's ironic that mine is Angel.
Yeah. Super ironic.
I
Yeah.
don't know how I earned that. And that my sister, who is much more than of an angel, my sister Jerry, her nickname is Bad News.
Yeah.
And he had to, since Bad News was on this trip with me, he had to talk about that too. And so we talked about the origin of that. One summer, Uncle Ken was on a raft in the pool, and Jerry was coming off the diving board and did a cannonball and splashed him, so she got on the diving board again and he's like, "Here comes bad news." And so that's how she got hers. Um,
But where does yours come from?
I
Like,
was an angel at some point because I was so sweet. Come on.
okay.
Come on. No, I really I didn't ask him because, I just wanted it to be obvious.
Yeah, yeah,
I have
yeah.
I really don't know. Because I was so sweet. There was It might have been having something to do with my first communion because there's this really sweet home video that they're
Yes,
in, and I'm
yes.
in my little white dress and my veil, and
Yeah.
were friends with the priests in our parish, and um, one of the priests was a drop dead gorgeous, like movie star looks.
Yes.
With the black hair and slick back. I mean, and so I was, what second? It was second grade, and I was just in love with him. And so there's these, here I am, angelic, in this Holy Communion video, looking at this priest with
Yeah.
stars in my eyes. And he was there. I mean, it might have had something to do with that,
With that.
but
I'll never forget. It was so funny. I remember when you were putting together the Ned and Jean 50th
video.
video. And that was a part of it. And it gave me such a great appreciation of our family. I mean, I didn't appreciate like the logistics of what you were doing, but it made me appreciate how like wide our family is in the history and stuff like that. And I remember the conversation around like, yeah, your you having a crush on your priest and you and Jerry looking similar and you being upset about that and her being upset about it and bad news and Angel and how opposite it is. Honestly, still to this day, how opposite it is.
For sure.
It's great. It's great.
Well, and the thing about that video was, and it's one of my prized possessions because we did interviews. It wasn't just pictures through the years, which is your typical, anniversary or wedding thing. I mean, we interviewed them together.
It was
We
beautiful.
interviewed them separately
Yeah.
about how they met, what their story is, what did you like, what did it, and just the neatest stories.
Yeah.
And then we interviewed all of us, with our childhood memories and our memories of them and their relationship and everything. And so it's a great thing to have forever and to show your kids and to, just the history. I wish we did more of that, honestly, but it's a wonderful thing to have.
We kept meeting on the bus. I was working in Milwaukee, he was working at St. John's, correct?
Right.
And every once in a while he'd pop up on the same bus. And I thought, well, isn't this a coincidence? Found out later it was not a coincidence. It
I
was
planned it all the time.
Jerry and Ken, will have been married 70 over 70 years. I think it was last year or whatever that they celebrated their 70th anniversary.
Hmm.
I mean, think about that. Who anymore ever would be married that long? I mean, even we're
Amazing.
talking about the 50th, people are waiting to get married. And that's one thing that I think about when we're talking about me being there for the grandkids. I mean, my grandparents were young, when I was growing up,
Yeah.
and now it's getting older and older and older that grandparents are older and older and older as parents are older. And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with it. It's just the reality of the fact that I'm not going to be in my grandkids' lives as long as I had my grandparents, because they were young and my parents were much younger when they had their kids, whatever, how it's sliding the other direction. So to think about the 50th and then think about the 70th and think about grandkids, when I have them, I'm going to be in my 70s when I have grandkids, you know,
Right.
whereas there's some people and they were in their 50s and had grandkids.
Yeah, we actually, Adam and I talk about that all of the time. We happen to both have parents that had us at older ages. And I have friends that have moms that are younger. And so, yeah, it
Right.
does put things into perspective sometimes
Yeah.
100%.
Well, and we're talking about aging and all the things that go with that in terms of logistics. They're also very lucky that they have people that take care of all their taxes and paperwork and all the things that go with aging, which is more than, I ever expected. But they have people surrounding them that take care of everything for them. And a lot of it is their kids, you know. Um, but it's just really nice to have that kind of support, both physically, mentally, and then logistically for all the things that you have to do when you get older. I was very happy when I turned 65. That's partly why I was able to retire from teaching because I needed the benefits up until then, and then on 65, I knew I could go on Medicare, and so that allowed me to make this life transition. Um, and that made all the difference. So that we have that. But I also remember when my sister turned 65, I'm like, oh, you can go on Medicare or whatever. And she called me and she said, I didn't know there was so much paperwork when you get to retirement age. I said, yeah, I mean, that's not what you talk about. You think about aging, you don't necessarily think about logistically what you
Right.
have to do, how things change with Social Security, how things change with Medicare. You have to think about, do I have a will, and one of the big ones is medical power of attorney. What happens if I
Yeah.
am incapacitated? What, and so all that stuff you have to organize and get in line, or you should get in line if you possibly can. And you think about all the people that don't have people like my aunt and uncle have that take care of everything for them.
Yeah.
So, there's so many things that you don't necessarily think about that, are either literally a pain, like physically, or they're a pain because you have to worry about them, like
Right.
paperwork. Which is a good segue to the
Great
song.
segue.
So here's a song that was inspired by my sister who said, I didn't know there was so much paperwork when you turn retirement age. So the song is It's a Mountain of Paperwork. It's parodied off of the song It's Only a Paper Moon.
Don't know what that means. What is that?
So it was a very famous movie,
Okay.
obviously before your time, starring Ryan O'Neal and his daughter Tatum O'Neal. You know who Tatum O'Neal is? Okay. Well,
No.
she was the youngest girl to win an Oscar for this movie, Paper
Great.
Moon. And
Okay.
of course, when I'm thinking of parodies and I'm thinking, okay, I want to do a song about paperwork, you think about any songs that have paper in it. Well, Paper Moon came up. And so here is It's a Mountain of Paperwork to the tune of It's Only a Paper Moon. Did you do all the paperwork? When you're older, it has to be. It's a duty we cannot shirk. There's forms from A to Z. Work online or a paper trail. Either way, it's an endless plight. I click submit, but to no avail. All my data was lost last night. You're at the age. It's a drawn out, slow parade. Page after page. Through the forms you must wade, so your pension is paid. Don't get me started with Medicare. I was happy to come of age. My head spun with how, what, and where, with the plans on every page. But it's only some paperwork. How bad could it all really be? Fast for taxes, the marriage clerk is not close to what we see. So clean your glasses and sit up straight. It's coming at you at every turn. A part of aging that's not so great. A new kind of feel the burn. You're at that age. It's a drawn out, slow parade. Page after page. If you don't get it done, then the government's won.
Welcome to Medicare.
Para español, marque 8.
In a few words, briefly tell me the reason for your call today.
Enrollment form questions.
I'll need your Medicare number from your red, white, and blue Medicare card. Do you have that handy?
No, I'm trying to get one.
If you think you could find your Medicare number if I give you some time, press star. Do you have your Medicare card handy?
No, I'm trying to get one. Hello?
I did.
Hello?
You can say claims or press 1. Premium payments or press 2. Preventive exams or press 3.
It's a mountain of paperwork. Your will directives and POA.
Or press.
Around the corner it all will work up until your DOA. Hey there, handsome. You see these piles? How are you when it comes to files? Can you do these forms for me? I'll make it worth your while.
I didn't catch that. Do you have your Medicare number ready? say yes or press 1, no or press 2. Or if you need time to find it, press star.
No.
I didn't catch that. Do you have your Medicare number ready? Say yes or press 1, no or press 2. Or if you need time to find it, press star.
Paperwork is intense in general. Do you find that the system is against you age-wise? For me, I'm changing my name. So I'm dealing with the government a lot right now. There's a lot of paperwork involved. It's stressful. It sounds like, though, the older we get, the easier it should be but it's not. So yeah, I guess walk us through, what that's been like recently.
It should be, you would think, because, it's counterintuitive to think, wait, you have more to deal with when you get older.
Right.
But Social Security, that's a big thing that now you can collect it. What does that mean, and what do you have to do to make that happen?
Yeah.
Medicare, so you get this really, really, really thick catalog of all your options. And it's crazy. Like, who would ever read that? Who could go through that? And you get it every year. And I'm just like, okay, toss, toss. Like, why do they waste this?
Yeah.
But, I end up having to make an appointment with somebody that gives you advice. Here are the insurance options, here's supplemental, whatever. It's all these things that you have to decide.
Hmm.
And there's paperwork involved with every aspect of that. Um, Thinking about a will, of course, everybody says everybody should have one, but once you get into the third age, you're like, well, really, you should have one. So that's another thing. Um, this, power of attorney, whether it's medical or financial or both, which makes the most sense. Who's going to make decisions for me when I can't make my decisions? And it's logical it would be you, but it's legally, should have it in writing. And when there's more than one sibling, who gets what and what.
Right.
So it's complicated. And so I think I did in the song FAFSA, that was one of the most challenging pieces of paperwork is when you were trying to get student loans, when I was trying to get student loans, I mean, so FAFSA, taxes, marriage, I think I put in there marriage clerk, that's nothing
Yeah.
compared to what you have to do when you're old in terms of paperwork. So,
Not made me excited.
I
It's
know,
not made me
sorry.
excited. No, I mean, it's fine. It is what it is, but yeah.
It's just one more thing in the third age to worry about.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And how are you feeling about all of it now? Do you feel like you have a hold on it or?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I probably should every year kind of do a better job of researching other insurance options. I'm happy with what I have.
Hmm.
And so I just kind of let it roll over every year. And, one of these years I should probably, and it's partly because I've been healthy. I probably should look at what that means when that changes.
Right.
Are there better things out there?
Yeah.
But right now I just kind of let it roll over.
Yeah.
So.
Fair. All right. Want to do an excerpt or?
Yeah, and I think it's kind of logical to think about when I just said when I get not healthy, when we found out about my mom, it changed everything.
Yeah.
Um, so last week you met Grandma Lou, met not you personally. Viewers,
Last week?
listeners met Grandma Lou,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
we heard
Yeah.
a little bit about her parents and her childhood a little bit. And now I'm going to go back to the blog, and this is when we first really knew the diagnosis. So this is blog 9/10/2012, day one, shock and awe. It isn't actually day one of this ordeal, but the first day we really knew. Incurable, fast growing, recurring. Recommendation? No treatment. Decision? No treatment. 3 to 6 months. Do not resuscitate bracelet affixed. I want to die at home. Shocking. Wasn't mom just celebrating at Bailey's wedding in California a few weeks ago? Mugging a silly wig for the instant photos? Or was it a cheesehead? That night, the call, much faster than expected and much worse than imagined. Lung cancer metastasized to the brain. Had to go to Google with that info. Kind of wish I hadn't. A flurry of texts and phone calls among siblings. The next few days, whole brain radiation with talk of permanent hair loss and diminished mental acuity. Lung biopsy and the wait for results. Schedule arranged for daily radiation transport, companionship, and care. Learning the difference between neuro-oncologists, radiation oncologists, and medical oncologists. Then the lung biopsy results. Again, delivered quickly by Dr. Cooper. Diagnosis confirmed. Type, small cell, recurring. I Googled a prognosis, then wish I hadn't. Upon hearing the results, the radiation oncologist pushes chemo and tells mom and Jerry that without it, she has 6 weeks. Wish he hadn't. Leading up to day one, there's been a lot of awe moments with family and friends stepping up and reaching out. But the biggest awe goes to mom. Since that first doctor call, she quietly made up her mind, used the phrase kind and gentle a lot, and eased us all into it. I'm not out to set any longevity records. What would Ned do? That's my dad who died in 2008. I want quality of life. I had a good run. My friend Helen used two words that hit me, kind and gentle. And spending the hours with each of us telling stories of her childhood and ours, some new, others wonderfully retold. She's going there because she's going. So on day one, when we heard it straight and we know, how can we not help guide this loving, kind, gentle woman to the kind and gentle exit of her choice? As the oncologist Dr. Hansen said so compassionately this afternoon, it's her journey, and today it begins.
How did that feel?
It brings it all back for sure. It's one thing for him to think it might be lung cancer, it probably would be lung cancer even, leaves room for hope. And you don't know till the biopsies, and you don't know, until she sees the oncologist. And so we were obviously hopeful that he was wrong, and he wasn't. And so the day we found out this is real, that's how we felt. And she was just so awesome about it.
I
She was there
know.
for us.
Yeah.
You're like, you want to be there for them, but obviously she, was compassionate enough and smart enough to know that it's going to affect us a lot finding out. And the kind and gentle journey was what we set out to create for her from that day on.
Yeah. And she was ready.
You mean she was ready to go?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like she
Oh,
she she knew that it was time at that point. I felt like she had come into acceptance by that
I think
stage.
pretty quickly she did. I think, I mean, honestly, partly she was ready because dad had died 4 years earlier,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they were so close and, so much each other's lives that she was never the same. And, and she was great, but she was never the same.
Yeah.
And so I think in that respect, she was ready to see him again, no question.
Yeah.
In her mind, she was going to see him again. So she was ready.
Intense.
Yeah, it is intense. And yet I feel really, really good that I wrote it down and now we can revisit it. I mean, as heavy as it is, it's real and it honors her. And it's important that we pass down, you know, her journey such as it was, and
I
not
agree.
just that's part of it, which is why the book talks about other things in her life, not just her death. But obviously, it's important to go there too, as hard as it may be.
It also makes me feel bad because I was at such a weird, like, teenage part of my life when all of this was happening. Like, I know for a fact I wasn't there for you as much as I could have been. Um,
I mean,
I
that's
think,
not your job as a teenager. I mean, it's nice of you to say that, but that's not your job. You were there in every way that mattered,
I don't
honestly.
know. I disagree with that a little bit. I think it could have done a little bit better. I mean, I think we were in a really, really not good part of our relationship when all of it
Mhm.
was happening.
Mhm.
Um, but like, I guess what I appreciate, you clearly a year ago, we've talked about this in episode 2 where you had a health issue.
Mhm.
And you just like Jean was very gentle with me. You were like, this is the situation. I know it's gonna upset you. Here are the facts. And you obviously did that because you used to be a daughter about a mom. So
Right.
so that was appreciative for me, and I don't know if I put that together until just now about, you're trying to be like the Jean of the situation, which I can imagine what that is like, and I guess I will obviously have to do that one day too, but um I was just an angsty teen and I probably could have been there for you. I didn't understand the gravity of the situation, obviously, at that time. Uh,
Nor should you have had to, and nor you didn't do anything wrong, honey. You should have absolutely no guilt. You were my light, my heart, regardless of what we were going through. I
right.
had you,
Yeah.
and that's all I needed, no matter how that manifested itself.
Yeah.
And, I felt guilty because then, we started the calendar of who was going to be with mom every day. And so I
Right.
spent a lot of time driving and spending nights and whatever. And, there was some guilt there, but I mean, I would do it again, of course. How
Yeah,
could you
yeah.
not? And it's not like you weren't taken care of and you weren't
I
part of
kind of
it.
liked it. It was okay. I needed I was
Oh, okay.
I was a
It
teenager.
was
It was
that
fine.
part of our relationship
It was
where
fine. It
the
was fine.
space helped. Okay, that's good to know. Noted. So I won't feel guilty either. So
No,
neither of us should
yeah,
feel
yeah.
guilty.
Do you have a question for me?
I do. We're going to end every episode that way.
Great.
So, I just visited a bunch of relatives. My mom's maiden name is Fody, so we were talking about Grandma Lou Fody, and obviously our name is Wilkinson. So how would you define a Fody Wilkinson? If you were to describe our family to somebody who doesn't know us, how would you define us?
Um, I would define us as stubborn.
That worries me. That's the first word. No,
Well,
no,
I don't
that's
know.
fine.
I feel like
That's
that.
fine.
I feel like I would define us as stubborn and fun, hilarious. Um, and willing to have a good time, and in the whole grand scheme of things, just like the most loving, caring people in the world. Like, what I love about our family is that we don't really need to see each other. I'm talking about kind of the grand scheme of the family, like the wider Wilkinson
Yeah,
Cody
extended
family.
family. Yeah,
Yeah, we don't need to see each other all the time, but when we do, we celebrate each other's successes or losses. Unfortunately, in a Irish Catholic family, we're huge. So sometimes the only times we see each other is a wedding or a funeral.
yeah.
Um, but what I love about that is that no matter what, when we see each other, it's a party. We are always celebrating life, whether it's love or it's the loss of a life. It's fun, it's celebratory, it's intense. Like sometimes, we aren't going to get along, we will disagree. and fight sometimes. There's always going to be, alcohol involved in an Irish Catholic family. But in the grand scheme of it all, we're appreciative and reflective of each other and our history and our story and welcoming and supportive. And that's what I loved about my wedding with Adam is having everyone that could come, but even if people couldn't come, they sent their well wishes, and I totally understand that as well. And I just feel so thankful to be a part of a family that we are so widespread. We're all over America, all over, the country and the world for sure, but supportive, and we're always going to have a good time and celebrate each other, when we see each other, and that's really important to me, and I want to always echo that no matter what.
And my Aunt Jerry said that many, many times when I was there. We're so lucky. We're so lucky. We're so
We
lucky.
are.
We are. We
Yeah,
really are.
totally. It's very cool.
Yeah. All right. This was
All
great
right.
again, honey. Love you
Another
very
good one.
much.
I love you too. Another good one.
We'll see you next time.
See you then.
All right. Bye. Love you.
Love you.
Do you have your Medicare number ready? Say yes or press 1. No or press 2. Or if you need time to find it, press star.